solving equations involving percent. Math is another language, and to understand it you have to know the translations of some words. Whenever you see what or what number, that means an unknown, X. Do you like N instead, or Z, or the Greek, one of the Greek letters of the alphabet? Fine. Whenever you see the word is, this means equal. 2 plus 3 is 5. 2 plus 3 equals 5. Percent, whenever you see percent, that means divide by 100. That is over 100. That is over 100. Whenever you see of, that means multiply. That is the times symbol, multiply. So for example, if somebody asks you, what is 20% of 80? Oh, and question mark you ignore. What means X? Is means equal. 20 means 20. Percent means divide by 100. Of means multiply. And 80 means 80. And percent symbol you ignore. You can divide this number by 10 and get 2. That is just cross off the 0. But then you have to divide the bottom number by 10. That is just cross off the 0. And you can do the same with another pair of top numbers. 10 goes into both of these numbers. 8 times and 1 time. That is, if you have 20 over 100 times 80, you can cross off 1 0 on the top and 1 in the bottom. 1 on the top, 1 in the bottom. You're left with 2 times 8 if you did it the first way. If you did it the second way, you're still left with 2 times 8 in the top. And in both cases, you're left with 1, there it is, 1 on the bottom. 16 divided by 1 is just 16. So that problem is done. Know the vocabulary. Teachers forever give very boring, dry ratios to remember. And one just remembers them for the exam. I do not remember them. But I do remember these simple translations. For example, what is 25% of 200? What? That's an easy one to remember. That's X. Is, you should know, 2 plus 3 is 5. 7 minus 2 is, that is equals 5. 25 is 25. And if you have any understanding of percent, you should know it means divide by 100. And of means times, and 200 is 200. And 100 goes into both of these numbers 1 time and 2 times. 25 times 2 is 50. Divide by 100 you ignore. The X is 50. That is what is 50. 50 is 25% of 200. It's one thing to do all this work and say, I'm good at this, X equals 50. What does it mean for X equals 50? It means 50 is 25% of 200. Somebody asks you, for example, how much is 18% of 64? Well, how much means what? What is 18% of 64? Is means equal. 18 is 18. Percent is over 100. Of means multiply. 64 is 64. Why did I cross things out? I want an question mark you ignore. Why did I cross out things? To show or to see that I didn't leave anything out. I didn't leave Now, I'm just going to, on the side, multiply 64 by 18. This is 480 is 512. 8 times 64, I think, is 512. And then 1 times 64 is easy. It's 64 minus some silly error. You get 1152. So when I multiply the tops minus some silly error, I get 1152 over 100. I love dividing by 100. That's why I didn't cancel, I didn't reduce. Why? Because to divide by 100, you move the decimal over 2 places, and you are now dividing by 1, which you ignore. But you have to move the decimal in 2 places on the top number. And that is why you get 11.52. That is 11.52 is 18% of 64. Somebody asks you, what is 18% to 64? You say, oh, 11.52 is 18% of 64. What or what number means X? How much means X? Is means equal. Of means multiply. Percent means to divide by 100. Somebody asks you, what is 8% of 50? Well, what means X? Is means equal. 8% means 8 over 100. Of means to multiply. And 50 means 50. Well, this time I will do the division. 50 goes into both of those numbers 1 and 2 times. It's a nice small bottom number. In fact, 2 goes into both of these. I saw that coming. 4 times 1 is 4 over 1 is still 4. If you said, you know what, I never want to kill off 100 in the bottom, 8 times 5 is 40, so 8 times 50 is 40 with a 0 over 100. Move in 2 places, move in 2 places, you get 4 over 1, which is 4. Dividing by 100 is like dividing by 1. That is, you don't do anything. You just move the decimal 2, 3, 5 places. Of course, not for 100. You're dividing by 100, you move it 2 places. You divide by 1,000, you move it 3 places. 10,000, you move it 5 places. Okay, different type of problem. Suppose I ask you, what is 25% of what number is 8? Is 8? Well, 25% of what number is 8? I can read it backwards. 25 divided by 100 means percent. 25% of what number is 8? There's no way I got that wrong. That is, there's no way that my translation from words to a mathematical equation is wrong. There's absolutely no way. 25% of what number is 8? Okay, 25 over 100 is a quarter. But since I wrote on this a lot, let me write it down again. If you prefer, this is over 1. X is over 1. 1 times x is x. 4 times 1 is 4 equals 8. Okay. Don't panic like, oh my, this is algebra. Well, you should know that whatever is on top, the bottom times the other side should equal it. 4 times 8 should equal x. Oh, I ran out of space on the bottom. So x should equal 4 times 8. Personally, that's how I write down 4 times 8. X equals 4 times 8. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Because 2 times times 5 is 10. 32 divided by 4 is 8 for one reason. 4 times 8 is 32. That pattern always holds. The denominator times the other side of the equal sign equals the numerator. The denominator times the other side equals the numerator. Somebody asks you what over 7 is 3. You should say 7 times 3. You should say 21. 7 times 3 is what goes on top. If you're a little bit familiar with algebra, you have x over 4 equals 8. Your teacher most probably told you to multiply both sides by 4. I don't think that's a great way of doing it. 75% of what number is 40? 75, what I just wrote means percent. 75% of what number is 40? And ignore the question mark. Well, 25 goes into both of these. 3 over 4. So you have 3 over 4x is equal to 40. Multiply the tops. 3 times x is just 3x. Over 4 is 40. Well, let's find out what the numerator should be. 4 times 40. 160 should equal the top. The top, 3x. I don't care what it looks like. I'm going to write it down and say it equals to 160. Now, let's look at one other pattern that you just must know. If 2 times 3 is equal to 6, well then 6 divided by 2 equals 3. If 7 times 5 equals 35, and it does. 35 divided by 7 is equal to 5. If 3 times x equals 160, then 160 divided by 3 equal to x. 160 divided by 3 is equal to x. There's the answer. 75% of that number is 40. Not the friendliest looking number, but what can we do? 75% of 160 over 3 is 40. Let's try some more. Know those two patterns I showed you. Makes life really easy. 50% of what number is 10? 50% of what number is 10? Well, 50% is a half. A half of some number is 10. You should know that number. Half of 20 is 10, so let's work it out. 1 times x is x over 2 is 10. This is a very simple equation to solve. That product equals x. That product is 20. That is x is 20. 50% of 20. 50% means half. Half of what? Half of what number is 10? 20. Half of 20 is 10. So hopefully you could have just did that one in your head. Half of 20 is 10. Half of what is 50? 100. Half of 100 is 50. Suppose I asked you what percent, I really should be writing the word percent, but oh well. What percent of 15 is 10? What means x? Percent means divide by 100 of 18 is 10. Okay, multiply the tops. X times 15 is the same as 15 times x, or 15x. Over 100 equal to 10. You could reduce now, make the number smaller. 5 goes into each of these, 3 times and 20 times. So 3x over 20 is 10. What does the top equal? Not what x equals. What does the whole numerator equal? The answer is 2 times 10, 200, is equal to the top. That is the top, 3x is 200. What is x equal? Want it to become first grade. This number divided by 3 is x. 200 over 3, which cannot be reduced. And that answers that question. What percent of 15 is 10? How about what percent of 18 is 18? Well, you should know 100% of a number is itself. What percent of this number is that same number? 100%. If you insist you don't know that, here's what percent of 18 equals 18. Well, you should just know that's 1. 1 times 18 is 18. You should see it on that level. We'll do it a few different ways. So this number must be 1. For fraction is 1. You just say those two are equal. X equals 100. Oh my, I now know what x is. I'm done. The instant a fraction is 1, you say top and bottom are equal. Needs to be that smooth. Fraction equals 1, oh, the top equals the bottom. If I tell you 7x over 5 is equal to 1, you should say, boom, 7x is 5. The top and the bottom are equal. That's when a fraction is 1. 5 divided by 7 is x. 5 divided by 7 is x. Okay, if I tell you this fraction is 1, then x is 5 over 7. So that's one way of getting x is 1. Okay. Let's continue with what we have in front of us now. X times 18 is the same as 18 times x over 100. Well, that equals to 18. Again, okay, so 100 times 18, 1800 is equal to the numerator, which is 18x. You should know that 18 times 100 is 1800. The x is 100. Okay, let's try these last two. How about this one? 2 more. 5 is what percent of 20? 5 is what percent of 20? Well, 20 goes in both of these numbers. One from the top, one from the bottom. So what survives on top is x times 1, which is x, divided by 5. And that equals 5. What is x equal? Whatever 5 times 5 is. That's what x equals. X is 25. 5 is 25% of 20. Suppose you wanted to know what percent of 25 is 10? of 25 is 10. Because the equal sign 10 is what percent of 25? But since you have an equal sign, you could say x over 100 of 25 is 10. And instead of I did mean to say times. And when you read this last one, what percent of 25 is 10? It's exactly what this says if you read it backwards. What percent of 25 is 10? Okay, nonetheless, we have to solve this. We'll easily get the number 40 because 25 goes into both of these numbers 1 time and 4 times. X over 4, anything, times 1 is the anything. So x over 4 still equals 10. 4 times 10, that's x. Know that pattern like you know your name. Otherwise, algebra is going to be a pain in the neck for you. 4 times 10, or 40, is x. That problem is done. 10 is 40% of 25. And one other thing is done. Their video entitled Basic Algebra and Arithmetic. I spent lots of time on this. I hope that you enjoyed the video and that you're happy with the video as well. Okay, good luck with your course and thank you. Bye.